Hi again folks, how's all doing? So a chap called Owen got in touch with me from the other side of the planet in Australia and asked if I would like to have this Hornby Super Detail Mallard in LNER blue. Now, as you know, I do like a blue locomotive and I don't have Mallard in this livery or with the fairings, so I couldn't really say no. I have to give a very special thank you to Owen for sending me this. The model itself will be worth a bit, and posting from Australia to Scotland, cost a fair amount of wonga as well. So a very big special thank you to Owen for sending this very generous donation. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, let's have a look at it. So, nothing appears to be broken. I'm not going to pull it out of the box just now, I'll wait till I get a proper look at it at the bench. But yeah, that looks really, really nice. Owen said it's a non-runner with a couple of issues, but he said he'd love to see it running again and featured in one of my videos. It does look very nice. It's tender driven. Let's just hope it's a nice, quiet, smooth one. Right, let's get this to the bench and see what's up with it. Alrighty-ho then. Let's get a look at this. So, tender appears to be in good order. Owen did say this has a couple of issues, and there's one straight away. The wire is loose from the drawbar connector there. But what he did say was that the wheels are locking up. Let's just have a look at that. It's usually something fairly easily fixed. Yeah. So we shall look at that. Little bits of polystyrene everywhere. Right, okay, let's get into this tender and see what we're dealing with. Heck of a lot of grease in there. Let's see if this makes any kind of noise with a battery. Okay, we'll get this motor out. Screwdriver down in there. There's those wires, which might disconnect that. It's amazing the differences with ring-field motors. You think you've seen them all, and then something else crops up. So with this one, this plate, you've got wires soldered to these pickups, as well as the brush contacts, which is then connected to that. So you can't easily separate the motor from the tender. What a stupid design. Right, I need to take these gears out. This is just a 3-pole motor, but that's okay. I don't get too excited about 5-pole motors. I'm more interested in what kind of sound it makes and whether it's a good slow runner or not. And yes, a 5-pole motor, generally speaking, will be a better runner. But my experience of them so far, I've just been unlucky with the ones I've come across. But my experience of 5-pole ring fields is that they're noisy. I'm not doing any of this in the right order. I'm just tearing this apart. Brushes are in good condition. Springs are in good condition. Right, out you come. There we go. So the commutator's pretty clean. I don't think this locomotive's done an awful lot of mileage, but we'll give it a wee clean. We'll get some fresh lubrication into it, and I'm sure it'll be fine. The big question is, how good a runner is it going to be, and what sort of noise is it going to make? So we'll file the gears and all that nonsense. Oops, dropped one. I should really have removed these, but let's just loosen these off. Oh, come on. Go. So even when you undo that, it's still soldered to this, which is soldered to that. Silly. I got a comment the other day, someone saying, what's the point of cleaning everything when you just put it back down on the dirty towel? You know, the towel is very absorbent, so generally speaking the dirt will go into the towel rather than from the towel into any object. But you know, this is model locomotive repair, not open heart surgery. It doesn't really have to be perfectly clean. It just has to be sufficiently clean. So I'm not going to all the trouble of having different surfaces to work on. That's just, nah. Give that a scoosh. Hey, cotton bud. Do I even need to get the T-cut onto this? Yeah, possibly. Right, that's all fine. Give this a quick going over with a manky brush. I couldn't give a stuff about these pickups on the traction tire wheels because they're just a bit of a joke. But everything else looks fine. Right. Okay, so I probably won't video anything more to do with the Ringfield motor. You've seen me do them many times. Let's get a look at the locomotive. I think that's where the work's going to be. One thing I do is clean my fingers, you see. I'm not that much of a clot. Right, okay, let's open this up. Very screw at the back, this is just slot in. Here we go, nice and easy. So, we'll need to solder that back onto there. Just getting a look at the pickups. The ones in the front are not touching the wheels. And I think we've got pickup issues on this wheel as well. I think the wires are in the way. The wires are supposed to come up behind this wheel. There's a groove in the chassis for them. So it should come up through there and then through these grooves here. So I need to sort all that. Get that out. We've got a contact washer there, which is good. And then we've got this under frame, which will reveal the usual nonsense with the pickups. Alright. Again, a slight difference here. The pickups are actually riveted on to the underframe, which is better than some of the Hornby Railroad models I've worked on. Let's bend these out into position so they'll actually make contact with the wheels. Yeah, there's pretty much zero lubrication in there. I mean, they're clean enough. There's just no oil, and there should be. Make sure these bearings are all in position. I just know that these bearings are going to keep popping out. This is going to be a bit like trying to get a load of eels into a jar, I think. Sometimes, you know, these things just really do try my patience. Not only are they extremely fiddly to do, I just can't help but think what was going through the designer's mind. And it certainly wasn't how easy would it be to service this model or replace these parts. Right, all bearings in position. The chances of getting this on in one go. Might help if I get it the right way around. Well, it's down. We'll screw it down and out. Right, let's get these wires sorted. So, I'll just come up around there. Like that, and that one wants to come up right there. I need to look into finding better tape for doing this. I find insulating tape doesn't stick to these chassis blocks very well at all. There must be a better tape for this. So let me know in the comments, what's a good tape to use for keeping wires in place inside a locomotive? Okay, let's have a look to see what's going on with the movement on this. Right, so I can see that this rod here is hitting the top of the crank pin there. So if we just give that crank pin a bit of a bend out, that should free it up. Maybe that's all it was. Yeah, there's still something catching. I can see that one of the pickups is a little bit bent out just at the axle. I think I'm going to have to take this out again. I think one of the, you know, the pickups are held onto the underframe with little plastic rivets. I think one of those rivets has popped, so the part of the pickup has come away from the plastic and it's rubbing on the wheel. Gee whiz. Right, okay, that's that tape useless. Slacken the wires off, and there's one broken. Here we go. It's all going to kick off. Right. So, yeah. No, actually the rivet hasn't given up. It's just got bent on this bit here. See, I don't know if you can see how that's sticking out. That's hitting the wheel. If you look at the other side, it's pretty much flush. The trouble with this is, I can't get a counter bend on it because it's riveted onto this plastic. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my snippers, I'm going to snip this bit off because it's not really needed, and then try and just put a counter bend on it there. I just realised I didn't have my phone on record there. What I've done is I snipped off a wee bit of the corner of the pickup there. The pickups are symmetrical, so they could be used either side, so they only have to manufacture one piece, if you like. And the bit that I've snipped off is the bit that he soldered the wires onto, because the wires only solder onto this end, don't need it at this end. So I've snipped it off and managed to get a tiny wee bit of a counter bend on it, so that shouldn't be hitting the wheel now. But of course in the process this wire came off, and the wire solders on to the inside of the pickup, and it's clearly been soldered on before being riveted to this piece. Just nuts. So I'm going to attempt to solder this wire onto there with a tiny amount of solder, so it won't hit the wheels. But just an absolute nonsense design. I can't complain though, I got given the Locomotive, but it is, frustrating just how silly the design is in some of these Hornby models. And it's not just Hornby. Well, Hornby aren't particularly bad for it. The railroad models and other models of that era. I've used the term the made in China models, and I've heard other people say that, but it's not the fact they're made in China. It's got nothing to do with where they were made. It's how they were designed. And I'm pretty sure that was not done in China. Right, soldering iron on. There's a real danger of melting plastic and doing all sorts of damage here. That looks better. Right, hopefully this should move freely now. There we go. Righty-ho, that's that sorted. I think all we need to do is put the motor back together and we're done. But I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. I've done enough today. Okay, day 2. I've reassembled the motor. I didn't bother filming that, but it all seems fine. Goes okay with the battery. So I think that will all be tickety-boo. I've still got to solder this wire onto the drawbar here. So I need to strip the end of it. See if we can solder this. There we go. Right, so in theory, this should now run. There we go. Tender's got a wee bit of a wobble. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about the wheel wobble on the tender. Just about every tender drive I've seen has a wee bit of wobble, some more than others. Yeah, there's probably not much can be done about it. I don't think it's the traction tyres. I think it's just these plastic wheels. Right, let's get this back together and we'll see how it runs. So what we're still to do, we'll get a wee bit of oil on all the linkages. Oh, vacuum pipe dropped off. There's blue on this pipe. Okay, right, so we need to fit this on, make sure the wires are either side of that lug at the end of the chassis, which will fit into there, like so. That's fine. Okay, and then finally fit the front bogie. There we are. Right, okay, let's go and pull this out of the shed and see how it goes around the layout. Okay then, let's bring out Mallard. So there we are, this Mallard runs again and becomes the latest addition to the fleet. Thank you again to Owen for sending me this. I hope he's enjoyed seeing it sorted out and running again, and I'm sure it'll be seen running on the layout in future videos often enough. So there were issues with the rods due to the cranks in particular needing bent out a bit. The pickups were in a bit of a mess, needed a bit of tweaking. They were catching the wheels, some loose wires, and the full service required. It seems to be a pretty good runner. The wheel wobble on the tender isn't too bad when it's running at speed. Off camera I've tried fitting new traction tyres, but it still wobbles. It's just the way the wheels are. I've had a look online and there doesn't seem to be any replacement wheels available at the moment for this. It might be a better bet to get hold of a replacement tender though. I don't mind paying the eBay price for that, considering I got this for nothing thanks to Owen. So yeah, there may be a wee follow-up video on this at some point, because I'd like to get rid of that very slight wobble on the tender. There was a bit of a rattling sound coming from the front bogie that you could maybe hear there. It was actually a wee bit dirt on one of the wheels that I missed. It's sorted now. You know, it doesn't take much to make the front bogie vibrate, make a noise, so keep the wheels clean. So I now have 4 A4s, 2 Hornby Mallards, the Bachmann Seagull and Miles Beaver. I'm very lucky to have been gifted 3 of these locomotives, I have to say. So thanks once again to Owen for this very generous donation. It's great to have Mallard in this livery, so thank you very much. So next video will probably be a repair request. I've got a locomotive sitting there ready to be looked at. I'm waiting on some scenic materials being delivered, and once that's here I will get back to doing some scenery and we'll do another layout update on that. Okay folks, meantime, catch you later.